It just might be the greatest sports franchise in the history of sports. A place where legends are made, and there's always something to talk about. Get ready to immerse yourself in pinstripes. Start spreading the news, hosted by Paul Semendinger and EJ Fagan, a couple of doctors with a prescription for Yankee fever. And now, here's Dr. Paul Semendinger and Dr. EJ Fagan. Get ready to start spreading the news.
All right, my friends, EJ and I went live last Monday and faced a collection of technical difficulties. So we are recording this week with the hopes that everything works well. I had no problems with the Dr. Sem show on Saturday, so I'm hoping here on Monday night we also have no problems. Quick reminder that this show is brought to you by Artemisia Publishing. Artemisia is an outstanding publisher who has published the least among them. Roy White's From Compton to the Bronx, the highly motivational 365.2, the greatest novel ever written, Scattering the Ashes, and I Need a New Graphic, because this one just covers my face, my brand new book, The Greatest New York Yankees by Uniform Number. And remember, we're also affiliated with the great Yankees site, the greatest Yankee site there is, Start Spreading the News. You can get those books at apbooks.net, and you can visit us at startspreadingthenews.blog. And here from Substack and the Bronx Beat podcast, my friend, the great, the brilliant, the biggest Yankee fan out there, EJ Fagan. Hello, Dr. EJ.
We're back. Welcome back, Paul.
We tried this last week. We were back and it didn't work.
Yeah, but hey, look, it's appropriate, right? Games are back. The season is on. And, frankly, I don't think we missed that much this offseason.
We didn't really miss anything at all, EJ. It was crazy. The Yankees brought back the same team, except for Ryan Weathers, who gets his first start tonight. As this show is on, he'll be starting his first game in Seattle.
That will be tonight. Yeah, sorry. Yes, we are recording on Sunday after the weird Wednesday, Friday, Saturday series. It throws me off. Just play a game today. Too. Play a 4-game series. Let's do it.
They should. And yeah, the whole thing, and starting on the West Coast, makes no sense to me either. But that's what they're doing. What's your thoughts on Ryan Weathers? We haven't talked about him.
It's interesting. So, there's Saris wrote something about Ryan Weathers that really caught not just my eye, but I think a lot of people's eye. And basically what he said was Ryan Weathers, by his objective measures of stuff, has dramatically increased his stuff from what was already good stuff to incredible stuff this spring training. Yet he got hit. And of course, you have to wonder, was he working on stuff? Was he, he developed a new pitch, and so was he just throwing that pitch more than he would normally? But Saris is, I think, the smartest pitching analyst in the world. He's one of those the rare nerds who is well respected and spends a lot of time in clubhouses. Even though this is a guy with a big curly hair and he's a stat guy and talks about fantasy baseball, he is I think one of the most respected analysts out there. And not a Yankee fan, right? And so he's hyped about Ryan Weathers. I wish Ryan Weathers gave me some more confidence by not allowing a ton of runs in the last 4 spring training starts, whatever it was. But I think you can't really fake 99, and the kind of stuff he has should play. So as long as he's healthy, I think Ryan Weathers could be really good. And I think there's also a world where he's got the really good stuff, but he has other problems. And so he ends up, if he's healthy, he ends up with a high 3s ERA or something, like a messy 3.8 or something. And I'm also fine with that. Like that'd be like, we could take that. We don't need him to start a playoff game right now, especially given how Schlittler looks. But there's also a world where like Ryan Weathers is like the best pitcher on this staff. I think that's perfectly reasonable.
And there's a world where he's the worst pitcher and he doesn't make
it. Or he gets hurt like he has most of his career and he's he pitches 30 innings. You don't really look. The Yankees have so much depth at starting pitcher that they don't need Ryan Weathers to pitch 200 innings this year. They need him for like a month and a half. Like if he gets hurt tomorrow, we got a problem. But I think the trade's looking pretty good right now.
All right, we're going to find out. I don't know a whole lot about it. You wrote an article on Substack a week or two ago, and you put that giant quote about all the different pitches, and they're all doing different great things and all that. So, do you know what? Hopefully, the Yankees continue this streak tonight. They haven't lost a game in March in 3 years. Did you know that?
Bro, that's crazy. Yeah, it's weird that we're starting on March 25th. Yeah, look, I think last year they beat the Brewers. It was kind of a spectacular series. This year, look, they beat the Giants. It wasn't a blowout series, but they felt like a really strong, well-rounded team. You had games where they outslugged them. You had Judge and Stanton hitting home runs, and then you had like last night's game, which was, or I guess 2 nights ago when this airs, which was a game where like the defense was excellent, right? I mean, that last double play they turned to win the game. That was incredible. Ben Rice turned a really nice double play from first base. I mean, it looked like a really good team. A team that looks in a different way than previous times, right? Like we've had, like the 2024 team that goes to the World Series, they were good because they had Judge and Soto and Cole, right? But the team wasn't filled out around them, right? This team still has Judge right at the very center of it, but it just feels thick, right? It feels like it's a team that has that ability to do a lot of different things. It has a bench. I worry about the bullpen a little bit, but it has a really straight, really deep starting rotation, a lot of depth at AAA. Like it really feels like a team that is robust, even if it's not as, I think, has like the high ceiling of some teams that they've had before.
Big prediction time for you, EJ. Are the Yankees going to go 162-0?
Yes. Why not? Right. Why not? It feels like it right now. Look, I think I think this is still a 90-something win team, right? Mid-90s team. Even though they won the first 3 games, even though I think their pitching staff looks great, there's still the lineup is still has its weak points, and you're really relying on Aaron Judge to have a 10+ win season and all that. But I don't know. This team feels pretty good. I'm enjoying this team right now.
I am too. And, right now I can only be positive. I hope I don't ever have to have a long couple weeks with you on this podcast talking about the June.
I'm sure we will. I'm sure there will be a swoon, right?
Let's hope not. Let's have a year without it.
I would just love if it's not all at once, right? Like have like 2 months where they're 500,
right? Or 506.
Don't do 3 months where you're like you're the second worst team in baseball again.
Correct.
Let's not do that.
That's so exhausting. All right. So what do you think about ABS so far?
Yeah, it's fun. It feels natural. It's quick, right? I've been shocked by how quick it is actually. I worry a little bit that it's going to become a catcher's thing. The catchers, like Austin Wells, had a couple of really good ABS calls, and obviously, right, catchers have the best view of it. They're probably the most level-headed among the 3 people who can make the ABS call, and I don't think that we need. I like in general, a more accurate strike zone should favor the hitters because umpires were more likely to call strikes falsely than balls. But if ABS is mostly a catcher's medium, I worry that's going to favor pitching. And again, like so hard to hit right now. Pitching is so good. They don't need more. They don't need another thing. And
but they do need to call strikes.
I think it is. I think it is refreshing. I think that there's a lot more less like pointless conflict on the baseball field. A lot less arguing. A lot less side eyeing. I tell you, it makes me like watch the screen and go like, Judge, call it. Like, come on, like I was high. Let's go. And so I'm sure players are still kind of figuring out where that is. The ABS system, a lot was made, I think, during spring training. It was basically a 50-50 challenge success rate, right? But like that's still a lot of calls a game. That's on average 3 to 4 calls a game. That is going to, they're going to be right. That were wrong before. And I think that can matter a lot. There was a really bad call. CB Buckner made a really bad call in the Mets game the other day.
I think he's called it every time he's been challenged. He's been wrong so far, unless it was just a lie on Twitter. But I
think he had a string of challenges too. Look, I think it's going to expose umpires like that. I think about the last out of the WBC, which was an obviously wrong call, right? And I hopefully you can fix those things. I think it's going to feel very natural very quickly, just like the pitch clock.
And if they do this with the pitch clock has been the best innovation they've had because it makes the game move. If they could do this on the other replays now and just make it quick, like we can I
also want the players to call the other replays. I hope that teams now get happy, get comfortable with giving up a little bit of control, so that players just call. You think you're safe at first base, you make the call. You have 2 seconds to make the call. If you don't make it, we move on. Right? Like I'm so tired of a camera panning to Brad Ausmus on the phone saying like, I don't know, is it? Let's wait. Is it? Wait. Okay, you can keep going. Right? That's not how sports are supposed to be. It's supposed to be quick, kinetic, right? There is now, we got him. Oh no, right? Like, but not this kind of like period of uncertainty after every play. And so I think they got that right with the challenge system, with the ABS system. I'm sure it is a little harder, I think, to do it as quickly just because it's like less objective. But I imagine you could speed it up quite a lot. I also think, I also just, again, I think that it's going to take the focus off the umpires, which is a good thing. Like, I don't want to know any more umpire names, right? I want them to be just in the background, and I want to focus on the players on the field. That's what should matter.
That's correct. And the umpires should just be getting everything right as best they can. And
you look at some of these calls and the umpires are off by 1/10 of an inch, and you kind of like, okay, well, like that's a little crazy. But and I could be convinced of giving like a bigger buffer zone around, like uncertainty zone around the box. But, look, if they can measure it that accurately, might as well get the call right. But, 1/10 of an inch is beyond human perception. So, but, there's also been some really bad calls that have been overturned, which would have been good, which are like an inch,
a whole inch this much.
Yeah.
Crazy. Okay, EJ, last Monday we were going to play the better or worse game.
Yeah. And
we were playing it, and then the technical issues blew it. So we're going to go right back for where we started. Austin Wells last year, 0.1 WAR. His OPS plus was 95. He had 21 homers, but he batted only 219. Better or worse in 2026?
Well, first of all, I think 0.1 WAR is baseball reference, which doesn't take framing into account. And when you do all the catcher defense stuff, I think he was actually quite a bit better than that on Fangraphs. But that said, like I think that Austin Wells, it seems like he's in really good shape right now. It seems like he whatever nerve issue he had last year might be behind him. He was the all catcher, the all WBC catcher. I think he looks really good, and so the weird thing about Austin Wells is he was never supposed to be a glove first catcher. He's turned into a pretty good defensive catcher, and then last year didn't hit it all. And throughout his entire life, it's been the exact opposite, right? Austin Wells has a no doubt bat that might not play at first base, but certainly could play a catcher. But no one thought he could catch, right? He was drafted. He slipped to the Yankees in the late first round, even though everybody agreed he could hit, and he was like an ASU star, but because he couldn't catch. And now it's the opposite. It's very strange. It's great for the Yankees player development, right? We complain about them a lot, but not a catcher, right? They can develop catchers, but he didn't hit. And I think that like, since there is an injury that you can point to, I think it's one of those times you kind of got to give a lot of credit to the injury. And, I think, would anyone be shocked if Austin Wells had an 800 OPS this year? I wouldn't.
I don't think anybody would. This is what everybody's been waiting for.
That'd be incredible. He'd be one of the best catchers in the game at that rate.
He might be the best catcher if he hits that well.
Yeah.
First base, we have Ben Rice last year, 2.3 WAR, an OPS plus of 131. He smacked 26 homers and hit 255. Better or worse?
I think he'll be better with a caveat, right? The caveat is that I don't know how much he's going to play because Paul Goldschmidt started against the lefty this week. But when he said that that's not going to happen every time, but I don't really believe him because I think Paul Goldschmidt's a better player against lefties than Ben Rice, right? Paul Goldschmidt can still hit lefties. He's probably a better defensive first baseman, at least on par. And the only reason to play Rice is development, right? It's like, you think maybe he sees some lefties and then he'll learn to hit lefties and he'll be kind of an all-around great player. But this is a win now team. You want to win the game. And so I think Ben Rice is going to end up in a situation where he's like a pinch hitter when there's a lefty starter. And, Paul Goldschmidt led off, remember, against lefties. So they thought he was pretty good. And then there's no obvious other leadoff hitter to hit against lefties either. So, I think Ben Rice is a platoon player. And so will he play enough to hit more than 26 home runs? Maybe. He might, if you believe his StatCast page, which I have tried to be a good scientist and find reasons not to believe his StatCast page, and I just can't find anything. Right? If you look at his StatCast page last year, he was one of the best hitters in the game. Period. Right? He was other than an Aaron Judge level bat. He's up there. He's a Vlad Guerrero Jr. level bat last year, and looks good so far to me. Had a great double off the wall, which would have been a home run in a lot of places. In San Francisco, big RBI double too. And I don't know. I believe in the guy. Ben Rice seems like the kind of player who will succeed to me.
Me too. I'm high on Ben Rice. Ben Rice is one of the guys I think is, I hope. Last time I was this high on a Yankee first baseman, his name was Greg Bird.
Well, here's the thing. Greg Bird didn't do what Ben Rice did in the minors.
That's correct.
Greg Bird's problem was that he was injured.
Yeah, he got hurt.
Right. He couldn't stay healthy. And eventually that he just didn't have a role in the majors anymore. I think Ben Rice is more athletic than Greg Bird. He's healthy. He hasn't had any injury problems, throughout his career. He's still playing catcher a little bit, right?
He seems like a happy guy too. Seems
like
a good guy.
I like Ben Rice. Sponsored by Ben's Rice at the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
I think even if he is just what he was last year, that's a really good player, right? He slugged 500 last year or 499, 26 home runs. That's if that's what we end up as, a 26-year-old first baseman who could do that, that's incredible. That's huge. And then there's a world where he's like a 900 OPS guy. That's completely on the table right now.
Jazz Chisholm last year, 4.2 WAR, 125 OPS plus. He stole 31 bases. He hit 31 home runs. He says he might do 50-50, batted 242. So is he going to be better or worse than last year? And is he going to have a 50-50 year?
I don't think he's going to have a 50-50 year. That's hard. I feel like he'd have to sell out for a 50-50 year, and that would be bad for him. I think he's about the same, right? He had some injury problems last year. So he strained his hamstring and was playing kind of slow for a little bit. And ironically, he started hitting really well during that time. But could have stolen 40 easily last year without that hamstring injury. When he was healthy, he was just stealing bases at will. Basically, he's a really good base runner. His defense this week was amazing. Jazz Chisholm is a fun defensive second baseman. It is still crazy to me that they moved him to third base for DJ LeMahieu last year. Insane, absolutely insane to me.
Insane.
You want to point to why they had that terrible 2 months. That's a huge reason for it. For example, I read the other day that Max Fried stopped throwing sinkers when his defensive infield was so bad, because at the time of the defensive infield was LeMahieu, Volpe playing with the height of the shoulder injury, and Chisholm at third. Right, it was just an awful defensive infield, and so Fried's like, "Oh crap, I have to throw differently," and that's when Fried had his bad 2 months. Right?
That's amazing. I didn't hear that. If that's true, that's
right. That is again.
Everybody who
I'm not complaining about Aaron Boone yet, right?
Everybody who told me I was wrong about Jazz Chisholm playing third owes me an apology. You can mail them to me.
The quote unquote reason was that DJ LeMahieu was hurt, right? And they hadn't yet traded for Ryan McMahon.
Correct, but you had to come up with a difference. It just made no sense.
Yeah, I agree.
The guy's not a third baseman.
I agree, and it's not like LeMahieu was hitting. So that was so. Look, I think Jazz are really good. I think he's about as good as he was last year. I don't think this guy is going to put up a 950 OPS anytime in his career. he's just too swing and miss. He doesn't take a ton of walks. If he does, it'd be great. I mean, he's been talking about, hey, let me take walks, let me hit home runs. Like Jazz, go for it. Like if Jazz Chisholm gets on base like 36, at a 360 clip or something, dude's going to steal 60 bases. He could do it. I mean, I don't doubt, but I worry about him selling out for home runs. I worry about him getting injured because he's got kind of that history, even though he's been good with the Yankees. But I like Jazz Chisholm. The Cubs just extended Nico Horner, kind of the other second baseman on the market.
You are reading my mind.
That's going. A pretty reasonable extension. It's 6 years. It's like 6 years, 140 or something like that. And Horner's, I think, a year or two older than Jazz. So you're looking at like 7-ish years. But Horner also might be better. He's more consistent than Chisholm is, more healthy. So like I think it's a very reasonable extension. If I'm the Yankees, I get on that. And I think it's I am increasingly excited to watch Jazz Chisholm for a long time because he's playing great right now, and that defense plays. I mean, he could lose a lot of hitting as he ages, and if he keeps playing good defense, I mean that's really impressive.
So let's pretend he has that. He has a 40-40 season.
Yeah, it's a big season.
It's a big season.
He's gonna get paid.
All right. Would you give him 10 years, $300 million?
No.
Okay, interesting. All
Second
right,
baseman, right? One problem is you getting him into his late 30s.
Yeah,
that's gonna be rough.
But 38.
But if it's 7 years, he'll be 28, right? So that's going to be 35. That's not bad. I could, maybe you eat the last year or two of the contract.
7 to 10, $30 million a year.
Like I think Jazz will be at least a good second baseman into his 30s. That seems reasonable to me.
All right, Jose Caballero
versus Volpe last year.
Yeah, but I can't. There he is. Last year he was worth 1.2 WAR. He had 131 OPS plus. He can steal bases. Obviously, this is just his Yankee stats. He had 3 homers, 9 ribbies, batted .266. Is he going to be better or worse than that? And is he going to be the Yankee shortstop all year because he plays well enough that Volpe, if he comes back, can't match his production?
I mean, 2 wins is a lot. One thing I always think about Caballero is that like the Rays are a pretty smart club, gave him away for Everson Pereira, right? So who I believe they've just DFA'd. Like, they gave him away for nothing with a lot of team control left, not a lot of money, which is a little weird. It's not like the Rays have a great shortstop right now. It's strange, but I love him, right? He was a 2-win player last year. It's probably about as good as he's ever going to be, but I'll take 2 wins. It's an average major league player. Does a lot of other stuff on the field. He's fun to watch. He's, I just love Caballero. And I mean, he was a great defensive shortstop this weekend against the Giants. I mean, all those double plays, he was in the middle of all of them and made some really, really fun kind of quick plays out of them. I've been a big Anthony Volpe believer, especially when we learned that he was playing with a rotator cuff injury all season. I wonder if Volpe's got a job. Like I really wonder what happens to him because Caballero has been really impressive, and I don't see how you put Volpe in the bench. I don't think you need him. I mean, maybe he's your backup shortstop, but beyond that, I don't know what else he does. So he gets sent down to AAA. That seems unlikely to me. He gets traded. Caballero's got a month to solidify his job, and if he's batting 260 at the end of April, like I think he keeps the job, and that's something he's definitely capable of doing.
I think so too. All right, third base. Ryan McMahon, 1.1 WAR. As you noted, these are the BR reference. Doesn't really take, I guess, a whole lot of defense into that, right?
It catches defense, it doesn't, but it does everyone else well.
All right, good. 81 OPS plus. He hit 208 with the Yankees, 4 homers.
I'm nervous about him. I'm nervous about it. He has this new stance. He said that he had his stance had drifted, so he was kind of widening his stance over time, and so he kind of narrowed it up like he used to. Didn't do very much for him in spring training. I don't know. Like I worry about him as he's 31 years old. I don't think we're going to see another gear out of him, and so I think he's a 2-win player. Right? He's a well below average hitter. He was worse than Volpe with the Yankees last year. Remember? But was a really good defensive third baseman, and so was playable. So look, I think he's your 9 hitter. As long as he's your 9 hitter, it's fine. I don't expect anything else out of him. You'd hope that he's a lefty pull hitter. You'd hope for some Yankee Stadium stuff. I don't know. He strikes out too much. It's getting old. I think they've got him for one more year after this, and then hopefully he can hand it over to somebody else.
Cody Bellinger had one of his best seasons last year. 5.1 wins, OPS plus of 125. He hit 29 homers, 98 ribbies. Those are frustrating numbers. To miss 130 by 2-1, that's frustrating. And he hit 272.
He's really good.
Strikeout
rate 13.7%.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like that's something the Yankees needed last year. I think his defense last year was really good. I like Cody Bellinger a lot. He had a really good start, really good series against the Giants. He's got like a new swing. I will it be better than 5 wins? I don't know. Right? I mean, Cody Bellinger. He has an inconsistent track record in the second half of his career, but he's always been good enough, right? Like the worst he ever was in 2024 with the Cubs. He was a 2-win player. But he was a 4-win player the first year of the Cubs, a 5-win player with the Yankees. So like 4 or 5 wins to me, that sounds pretty reasonable, and that's great, right? Like that's 4 or 5 wins, like in another world, gets like a 10th place MVP vote, right? That's pretty impressive. So I think that's about what he is. Do I think he could have another year? Maybe, right? I mean, this is still a 30-year-old player. But at some point he just kind of revamped his swing from earlier in his career. He stopped swinging that hard. I think it's just a ceiling on how good you can do, even as a good contact hitter, if you're not swinging that hard, right? If you're not really, you're not getting the exit velocity, you're even in Yankee Stadium, you're hoping for, a couple of some pulled home runs and a bunch of hits. One problem with Yankee Stadium is that even though he can pull the home runs, he's got the shallow right field. And so he's going to miss some singles and doubles that way. So he loses out there a little bit. So I like Cody Bellinger, but I think last year's about as good as we could possibly hope for.
Trent Grisham, 3.5 WAR.
You got to pick the under, right?
He had 34 homers.
Right, you got to pick the under. 34 homers, right? Like he was so good last year, and he was good throughout the year, right? His StatCast numbers were just as good. Like there was no quibbling with the performance last year, and yet I just did my fantasy draft, my 21st year of a fantasy draft, right before we recorded this, and he was like my third to last pick. Right, this guy in a 14-team league. This guy gets to like the 20th round. No one believes in him, and I don't know if I do either. To the point where I'm like dreaming on Spencer Jones right now. Spencer Jones just hit a big home run in his first game at AAA, and had a really big spring. And I'm going like, oh man, like I would love for Spencer Jones to force his way on the team, though that goes through Trent Grisham. Didn't have a good spring, but again, who can really judge that? I want to watch his defense. To me, that's the thing that could improve. So I think his bat's got to come down from last year, right? It seems very unlikely to me that he repeats the best year of his career, or improves on it. But I do think that there's room to improve on defense, right? He is getting older, but he made some comments during the spring.
Yeah, that was hurt a little bit last year.
He had a hamstring strain that gave him problems last year, and also like he was like, I haven't really thought about. I've just been so good that I just never had to think about it, and then all of a sudden I'm getting a little old and I got to think about it a little more. I'm like, that's interesting. I wonder if he puts a little more into defense. He's got another contract year, right? And so he's incentivized to play really hard. And so he could pick up like another win on defense. So anything he loses on offense, I wouldn't be shocked to see him recover on defense. Now, if he keeps getting older, keeps slowing down, if that's the cause of the defense, not anything else, maybe he gets injured, then you go like, okay, like if you're not hitting 30 home runs, we got Spencer Jones down the minors. We got Jason Dominguez down the minors. Let's see what they can do. So I am very interested to see Grisham. He's also going to be platooning this year, right? I mean, the Yankees got Randall Grichuk, and Grichuk played against a lefty, and I suspect he's going to play every single game against a lefty starter. Which Grisham ended up platooning at the end of last year, but only after they made the trades for everybody. So I'm very curious. I don't know. Like again, you got to take the under, but I feel bad saying that because nothing indicates last year that any of that was fake, right? Like some players just figure it out, and maybe that was Grisham. I don't know.
And
Maybe
sometimes
he decided
they have
on,
that.
you know,
Yeah, and sometimes they have that one magical year, right?
yeah. You know, some 1 year has to be every player's best year, right? And so, yeah, it's I don't know what to think of Grisham. It'll be fascinating to watch. But look, if he can do it, I mean, come on, like that's great. And look, even if he doesn't reach the heights of last year as a platoon center fielder, and if he has a 770 OPS, that is incredible, right? That's a really good player. Maybe you don't want to be your leadoff guy. Maybe you prefer someone else kind of step up and get into that position. But besides that, like I think as just a center fielder on the roster, I think you got to be happy if that's what you end up with. 25 home runs and average center field defense. Like that is a very strong player.
It's going to be fun. All right, there's this other guy, and I'm going to tell you a little interesting stat I came up with the other day. But Judge, 9.7 WAR. He led the world in everything. 53 homers, did not lead the league. 114 ribbies, did not lead the league. But he did lead the league in walks, led the majors in batting average, on-base percentage, slugging.
Yeah, are we quibbling with Aaron Judge's batting line because Cal Raleigh hit like 4 more home runs?
Yeah. Like Aaron Judge is the MVP, obviously, but 9.7 WAR. Like, can he be doing that again?
I don't see why not. Right? He had like usually you look at spring stats and you're like, oh yeah, he's slugging 700 in the spring. That's not real. That's just spring training stuff. Aaron Judge had a 1.2 OPS in the spring, right? And you go like, oh, well, that's just Aaron, that's just what he does.
Oh, he does, yeah.
Right? And so, as long as he doesn't play with an injury for a month and have like a 900 OPS for a month and a half, or 9, I forget what it was, but he was like the third best hitter in the league while he was playing without an arm last year. I think Aaron Judge is the best of all time. And I think there's no reason to believe he isn't still the best of all time. Struck out a lot this weekend. It's one series. Who cares? He had 2 home runs, even though he struck out a ton. Judge just always takes a little bit of time to get his timing down. I think ABS will help him, right? There's a lot of reason to believe that it will. I worry that Judge is going to be like the nice captain who reserves calls for his teammates because that's who Judge is.
I heard somewhere that maybe the only batter who's going to be allowed to use that is Judge.
I mean, I think that good teams should use it a lot, right? Like I think that if a team just says like, no batters are allowed to use it, or just Judge is allowed to use it, or Judge and Stanton or whatever, the more they restrict it rather than work with players to make accurate challenges, I think those teams are losers, right? Like they're giving up free strikes and free balls. And so I think that if you think about the difference between an 0-1 count and a 1-0 count in the stats and batters after that happens,
it's
right?
Crazy.
Like I think that if I'm a baseball team right now, mastering this system is one of the ways I can get an edge, like one of the few real ways I can make a big difference. And so I hope it's not the case that teams just say like, only your good players. The Brewers had like a system where they had this like red card and green card where they're holding. Did you see this?
Mm-mm.
So like their bench coach had like a big red card and a big green card, which basically said it's okay to challenge in this situation. So not for players, but for basically for like high leverage spots. And I didn't like that either. I also just don't like coaches. I mean, talking about the whole thing about bench coaches calling managers calling pitches, which is weird. But I don't like that. But I do like the intuition, right? Like, yeah, like you should be aggressive in the right spots. If it's a 50-50, whether or not you get a strike call, you want to use it in the spots that matter. But also like some players are going to get good at it. And I think that those players should be really aggressive. And I think also at the end of the game, you're making a mistake if you have any calls left on the table. Right, like you should be aggressive, especially.
How many do you get? I don't even know.
Two each. Two unsuccessful calls each. And so I hope that teams are very aggressive with it.
But so you get 2 wrong calls,
correct,
and then you're out. But what if you get it right? You still have 2 wrong calls.
No, if you get it right, then you get your call back. So you have infinite correct call. Right?
That's what I'm saying. Right? Yeah. So if the umpire is just doing a bad job, you could say nope, ABS.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So look, I hope that Judge is aggressive with it. I just think that, you know, because of his size, he gets a lot of things called wrong on him. You know, should make a difference for him. I really do think that the reason Judge had that big breakout in 2022 was that he stopped getting so many bad calls against him, or made the adjustment or whatever. He had a lot of low strikeouts against the Giants. And I wonder if it's in his head a little bit. I don't know. I mean, whatever. Judge will be fine. I'm not worried about him one bit. You know, you question like how long can he keep doing it, and then you look at some other like really good hitters who were really good in their 30s. Like David Ortiz played till he was 42 and was excellent every single day he played. Barry Bonds, right? You know, broke out, you know, quote unquote, in his late 30s. You know, the guys who are this good, like I think, you know, Aaron Judge is 33. I think perfectly reasonable that he keeps up this pace for a while.
I found an interesting player. You probably aren't as familiar with him because he goes way, 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 way back.
Is it a book player?
This is a real player.
But is it a player from the book?
No, because he wasn't a Yankee. Thank you for plugging the book.
What's the name of the book?
Now you're gonna make me do this. The 100, the greatest New York Yankees by uniform number, by me. And it is a great book. But anyway, there was a guy. He's in the Hall of Fame. He actually averaged 400 batting over 3 years, I believe. But he had an over 200 OPS in 2022. Excuse me, 1922. He had an over 200 OPS in 1923. Then he didn't do it in 1924. And then he did it again in 1925. Exactly what Judge has done. And he then had a down year in 1926. I just wrote an article on this, so if people want to see it, it's on Start Spreading the News. That player's name, Rogers Hornsby. Okay. Now, he had that bad year, or by his numbers, in 1926. But the good news was the Cardinals, his team, won the World Series. So if Judge's production goes down and the Yankees win the World Series, I'm not going to be all that disappointed.
Yeah, but here's what I'll say. You look, I think we need to appreciate Aaron Judge more. You go look at Rogers Hornsby's stats. You look at Babe Ruth stats, Lou Gehrig stats, Jimmy Fox, whatever, all of these kind of pre-integration players. And they put up stat lines that just seem impossible today, right? And the reason they do, the reason why, it's not that the best baseball players of all time all lived in the 20s and 30s, right? Because the level of competition was lower. And so the best guys could stand out, right? There was enough bad pitchers to feast on, or bad hitters for pitchers to feast on, that you could really separate yourself a lot. And that's why so many record holders were from that time.
But watch this. The players in baseball history with multiple seasons with an OPS plus above 200. Are you ready for the list?
Can I guess?
Right. So number one would be
Barry Bonds.
No, number one would be, yes, he had 10 seasons with an OPS over 200. Now, two guys are tied for second with 6. You got one. Who's the other?
Ted Williams.
Yes, very good. Right. Then there's a guy who had 4 of them. And we just talked about him. His name was
Aaron Judge.
Rogers Hornsby.
Rogers Hornsby. Okay, yeah.
And then Judge has 3, and he's tied with one guy.
Can you give me a clue? I don't know.
I'll give you a clue. He played on the Tigers a long time.
Ty Cobb.
That's correct. Yeah. And then the other 2 guys, the only other guys to have 2 seasons with an OPS over 200. That's it. This is in the history of baseball. That's where Aaron Judge is sitting with 3 of them. At this point, the other 2 guys, one, a great Yankees center fielder not named DiMaggio,
Mickey Mantle, which is a more modern player than some of these other guys. So you
correct.
start to
the only other modern guy is Barry Bonds.
Yeah,
and then you have the steroid question, and somebody else you named, a big giant first baseman guy who played for the A's and the Red Sox.
The A's and the Reds, Jimmy Fox. Yeah,
yep, that's it. Right, that's where Aaron Judge is sitting with those guys.
And again, there's arguably one modern player in his competition, right? And you think about some great hitters over time. Think about Edgar Martinez, pure DH, didn't come close to Aaron Judge, right? I mean, some of the headline numbers are close because it was an offense era, right? Judge is doing all this in a pitcher's era.
Everybody. Ken
Think
Griffey
about
Jr.
Think about what Ohtani has done over the last few years. Doesn't come close, right? I mean, it is, other than Barry Bonds, it is just Aaron Judge. And Barry Bonds did it with a bunch of steroids, and he loaded up. He was a great player who loaded up with steroids and became even greater, right? He was a mere mortal, a mere Albert Pujols level great player before that.
Albert Pujols isn't on the list.
Right. Right. And then loaded up and was great. Aaron Judge is just that strong. Right. Like, that's the difference. Like, Aaron Judge doesn't need the steroids because he's the size of Aaron Judge. And then does all the other great stuff. I really think that, like, we as Yankee fans need to appreciate that we are watching a legend. Like, we are watching a Ruth level player right now. And just doesn't feel like I just don't think that like the perspective has been there yet. Maybe he needs to do it for like one more season. Then you go like, oh wait, this 4-year stretch he's been on has been on the level of Barry Bonds when he was hyped up on steroids and was breaking records. Right. I mean, it was, I'm this is the thing I'm most excited for, right? Is I get to watch another season of Aaron Judge with the Yankees. And I think that's really incredible. And again, he could put up another 10, 11 win season. Would anybody be shocked? Right. He put up 10 wins last year, like, hurt, right? Like, this guy almost had Tommy John surgery mid-season and still put up those wins and had a great playoff. I love Aaron Judge. I think he's starting to really settle into having like that kind of like attitude, which I love. During the WBC, he had a little bit of that attitude, which, as kind of knowing he's the best player in the world. And I like that. And watching him in the San Francisco series, you have to remember, like, this is a kid who grew up a Barry Bonds fan, right? He grew up a San Francisco area kid or 80 miles out of San Francisco, who grew up idolizing Barry Bonds, is now doing Barry Bonds stuff. I think that's pretty cool.
Pretty cool. We're going to do one more guy, and then we're going to wrap this up because we haven't had a technical glitch, and I don't want to press my luck that far. We're at 42 minutes now. So the last guy, I'm very interested how you feel about this guy. Giancarlo Stanton put up 1.94, a 158 OPS plus. He did it 24.
Can't open a bag of chips, right?
Right, but he's only played in 77 games. Yeah, he can't open a bag of chips, but he homered the other day. He's
got a different stance right now too. He's squatting. He's not standing straight up anymore. I think it looks good. Like, I'm a negative on Giancarlo Stanton, right? I've been being like, anyone wants to trade, take him, just get him off the roster. He might be like the second or third best DH in the league right now. I think he's looking really good. He was running really well this series.
He scored, right? Didn't he?
He scored from second on like a not clear single, right? Like,
I'm watching him running around the base. I'm like, what's happening?
Like, he might finally, other than the elbows, be healthy. And I wasn't sure if he was. I was like the conspiracy theorist saying, like, maybe he's not going to start the season because they're going to IL him for 2 months, and I don't think they can do it. You think about what happens if he goes down, and I think you lose hitting, right? I mean, if Jason Dominguez or something comes up and he's your DH effectively, I think that's a problem for the Yankees. And so I think Giancarlo Stanton right now is looking pretty good, and I'm excited to watch him. I still think probably gonna get hurt at some point. He's still probably gonna have some leg issues. I really, really, really don't want to be in a situation where he's playing the outfield every day because Judge has a DH or something like that. I think he probably gonna have to rest him a lot because he's so old and has his health issues, and so you can't count on him playing all that much. But then you look at his numbers last year. Like, his numbers last year, even though they were kind of a tale of two seasons, one really good stretch, one really bad stretch, netted out to a 900 something OPS, right? That 1.9 wins, that was in half a season. That's incredible. That's really impressive. To me, the one thing I care about is, like, look, if he's hurt, they got to sit him, right? They didn't want to sit him last year when he was clearly not playing well. And I think that really hurt the Yankees late in the season. And maybe he could have been better in the playoffs if they had rested him. But they felt that they played him in the outfield, right? They felt that they had to do the opposite. And I think they wore him down. Luckily, they have a deeper roster this year, and I think that they can get away with sitting him. And I think that they also want to sit Judge, and so that's kind of a built-in excuse to sit Stanton twice a week or something. And I think that's a good thing. Their bench can't really take it, unfortunately. The one problem is that they sitting a righty is kind of tough for them. but if he was a lefty, it might be different. But seeing a righty who doesn't have big platoon splits right now, that could be difficult for them. So they're going to feel compelled to play him a lot. But besides that, like I think right now, I think you got to be confident in him. He had a great series, and he had a good spring training. I think it was encouraging not just to see him hit some big home runs, right? You're a little worried about Aaron Judge because he struck out a lot, but hit 2 big home runs. Stan was like firing singles over the field, right? He had a big double. He and he had a big home run, like a monster, like deep into the stands home run. Like that is really impressive. Even as I was a Stan pessimist, I always enjoyed watching Stan just because it was fun to watch him destroy baseballs, right?
Yes.
But I think he actually might be like worthy of that like 4 spot in the order, especially against lefties. We'll see if his platoon splits come back. I'll be interested to watch that because this is a very interesting Yankee lineup for that in that way. But for now, I think it's pretty great.
It's going to be fun. They're 3-0. I'm going to go out on a limb, EJ, and say they're not going to go 162-0, but I sure hope you're right about that.
Why not?
We did it. Look at that. No glitches. I'm so excited. We fixed the problem. Knock on wood. At least we did for 2 shows in a row now, my show and then this show. EJ, it is great to be doing this again with you. We're going to have a great season. We will be here every Monday night at 9, sometimes live, hopefully most often live, but maybe sometimes we'll have to record them. This has been the Start Spreading the News podcast. Thank you for watching. Have yourself a wonderful day.